As far as for me, I've started an ABM program from ground zero in 3 different companies. 2 were mid-market, 1 was an SMB. And when it comes to adoption, I kind of watch the same path playing out time in and time out. So 1, when you are in those conversations, maybe you're talking to your leadership about, the ABM approach. You have to come up with a strategy, the path, like what are the things that they need to be mindful of. I would really recommend for you to talk to your sales leader and understand the level of competency with that sales leader's competency with ABM. And what I mean by that, just understanding whether they've tried it or not, whether they've been in an organization that ran ABM, was it successful for them, what kind of challenges did they see? Because if you expect that you would come into an organization, say, we're doing ABM now. Marketing is running around, they bought this expensive tool, the silver bullet. It's going to be different this time. Well, the sales team has to be bought in, and it starts with the sales leader. And I've seen in a lot of cases where the sales are, yeah, I've been in companies, we've done ABM. It's that deck that you sent me, right, on the lead qualification? No. And at that point, it's clear to me that, there's going to be a learning curve, and I cannot rely on my sales leader to be my pioneer, to be the person driving it. So in those cases, I would pivot. I would go to BDRs. If the BDR sits on your team, on the marketing team, then you have influence. You have that relationship with the BDR. You can really get them on board because, A, they're hungry. And if you come to them and start showing them all of these account insights, out of a sudden, you gave them the map that they didn't have. You give them information that now they can use to prospect better, find leads, get paid more. And 2, usually they're younger, they're earlier in their career, they're more coachable, and they're more likely to take advice from you, the senior marketer, who can give them the why. And then the BDR would start prospecting accounts. Chances are they got a relationship with the sales team. They would go to the AE, say, you know what? This account is doing something. They looked at this page on the site. They, clicked on this. They will synthesize this for the AE. It will start growing on your AEs. We're talking like, change management. We're talking behavior, right? So then it grows with the AEs, and then they take it to the sales leader, and out of a sudden, the whole team is talking about ABM, and the sales are like, oh, yeah, we're doing ABM. Everybody's talking about it. So I've tried those 2 approaches. Another thing that you have to be mindful of when it comes to adoption is MarOps excellence. Like, you can be a marketing leader, you can be a demand gen leader, but if you're not really strong with MarOps, you don't understand how all of these systems are talking to each other, how the data flows, what your Salesforce structure is, how the fields get populated. You watch. You're going to go into this training with a sales team, and there's going to be that smart aleck in the group who say, that number over there in that field, where did that number come from? Oh, that number is totally wrong. That's not what I'm seeing. And if you cannot anticipate those questions, if you cannot predict what they will ask and kind of advance, answer those questions head on, saying, you will see something in this field, but this is how this number gets pulled, and this is what comes from the ABM platform, then you might run into the risk of them getting all excited and hyped up early on, but during that training period, seeing something which, somebody kind of, shoots a hole into. And out of a sudden, the whole team sees you failing because they ask you a question, and you're like, I'm going to take this question, answer it later. It doesn't work like that. You have to be very comfortable with the technology that you're showing to them. You have to be the SME. So get your MarOps hat, get trained up, connect with if you have a MarOps team, if you have the luxury of having that team, do bring them into that conversation so that whatever question they may ask, you'll be able to answer that question. And then building on what Tukan has said about giving the one place for the sales team to look at, working this into their workflow, this is super crucial. Because if you tell them all the exciting things that us marketers get really hyperventilated about, this field and that field and the impressions and the intent topics and surging, this is great, but sales are not willing to change in a day and switch from what they used to do to the new thing. Because when you think about it, every time a new sales leader comes in those guys' career path, right, it's always something new. So change management is real. They're not dying to learn a new tool either. So if you're feeding everything into your Salesforce in the right way, you can tell them that, you know what, I understand you're doing things throughout your day. This is how you can work this into how you go about your workflow. You can look at this dashboard. You can look at this module. and give it to them in a synthesized way where it doesn't create the burden of chasing multiple places, logging into multiple platforms, right? It's where they live, which is in Salesforce. And last, train, right? Give them the why. Show them what's within the platform that drives ABM. Yeah, it's going to be over their head. It's going to be too detailed, but they have to understand what it is that you're doing. All the wonderful ad creatives, all the wonderful orchestrations. You know, your ABM platform feeds into LinkedIn and people will see it in an email and all the other places. Explain to them what it is that you're doing. You might have to do it twice. You may have to set up open office hours so that they would come and ask questions. They will ask you technical questions. You will be the shadow IT, so prepare for that and, you know, get comfortable with it. And when you do pick a platform, whatever drives your ABM, ask yourself a question. Okay, they're pitching to me. This sounds wonderful. This thing will do everything that I want. And it's AI too, so I don't have to do anything. Ask yourself, can you run this on your own with limited IT help, if any at all? Can you partner with that platform and count on the support team or CSM team or whatever to get you to where you need to be? Because the worst place to be, and I've been there because I've tried all of the platforms. I mean, I've run 2, I've gone down the discovery path with the other 3. You'll get to the point where they ask you a question and something that's not working and you were hoping to kind of skirt over that and not make it the focal point, they'll find it. And they will ask that question in the worst possible moment and you will lose it and it will be just yet another marketing thing and you don't want that.